Keynote works on iPad, but I've never used it, so today's presentation is based on the Mac version. A lot of the concepts should transfer, but some of the technical stuff may not. Also, you might see the video speed up in certain spots. That's because I have a lot I want to show you. If something went by too fast, you can rewind or email me for help. Here are the keyboard shortcuts that I'll be using today. These 3 are the ones I use the most, and they also work for many other software programs. The bottom 3 will make more sense in context, so I'll show each one of these pictures as they come up. In the bottom right-hand corner of the template that you can download, you can double-click on my name to access the master slide. This allows you to edit one slide that will appear as the background to every other slide in your presentation. If you're going to be printing out on 8.5 by 11, go to the Document tab and choose the custom slide size. You're going to type in 768 by 1024. You might need to adjust your master slide to get it to match. Before we go any further, let's go up to the toolbar. You're going to right-click or control-click, and you're going to choose Customize Toolbar. Make sure you have the tools you need. You can see what I have up here. If there's something else that you think you might need, you can drag it and leave it up in your toolbar. All right, let's create some shapes. I'm going to start with a circle. Now, while I'm expanding this, I'm going to hold down Shift to constrain the proportions. There are a lot of things you can edit about it. The color, and I'm going to speed this part up. You can use the eyedropper to choose a very specific color, save that color. You can change the opacity, and you can add a border, different kinds of borders. I'm going to let you check this out on your own. There are many, many resources online if you're interested in looking at the basics for Keynote. So here's a rectangle. Again, if I hold down Shift while I expand it, it will constrain the proportions. You'll notice that I have them one on top of the other, and these buttons up here will allow you to choose which objects appear on top or on bottom. That's great if you have lots of different objects. All right, let's say I want to take this picture from the internet. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it. Now, there's a couple functions you can use. One is the mask function. This button is just like cropping, so I can crop it this way. I can also double-click it to crop. Now I'm going to Command Z to undo, and I'm going to use this alpha button. Watch this. If I click here and I drag it, I can choose which part of the background or which color is disappearing. So I'm able to remove the background if it's a single color or a similar color from a picture. All right, let's say I want to create an evenly spaced array. I've created a circle, and I'm going to make it really small, and this is where it's good to zoom in. Now, if you go up to this corner, you can turn off Auto Center, and it makes it easier to zoom in where your cursor is. So I always turn that off when I'm working. So I've zoomed in, and I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to use Command C and then Command V to copy and paste it there. But there's an even easier way, and this is going to save you a lot of time. If you hold down Option, you click on it and you drag, it will automatically copy whatever you've selected. So I can hold down Option, drag, and as you can see, I can also do it with 3 objects at a time. So I'm going to hold down Option and drag all 3. And you can also see these nice alignment lines that are showing up. You could create your array like this, but the spacing might not be perfectly accurate. So I'm going to show you a cool trick. I'm going to delete those, select these 3. I'm going to hold down Option. And while I'm pulling this over, I'm holding down Shift. So earlier you saw that it constrained the proportions while I was moving it. In this case, it's helping me align my shapes. So now I have 8. I'm going to select all of them, go to the Arrange tab, Distribute, and distribute them evenly horizontally. Now it didn't look like anything changed. It looks like they were already pretty evenly spaced out. So now I can select all of them. I'm going to group them together. And this will make it easier for me to copy. Hold down Option, and I can make as many copies as I want. If you hold down Command and go to the corners of an object, you'll be able to rotate it. While I'm doing that, I'm also going to hold down Shift, and that helps me align it on some of the more common angles. I'm going to move this over, and as you can see, the alignment lines will help me line it up with the other shapes I have. I'm going to use this shape on the left to help me line things up, but right now the alignment lines are not appearing. That's because this one is grouped, so I'm going to click it, I'm going to ungroup, and I'm going to change the color so that we know that those are for aligning purposes only. And now, when I copy this group, I'm holding down Option and dragging it down, you can see those alignment lines appear, and so I know that these are going to be evenly spaced. Okay, I'm going to speed this next part up. Okay, looks good. Now I can delete these, and I have my 8x8 array. I can group it to make it easier to copy, so I can just copy over the whole thing as one object, or I can also ungroup everything to help me easily edit this array. I can select specific objects and delete them. I can hold down Command and select multiple objects and delete those all at once. I find that it's really useful to make multiple copies of any object that I'm going to edit in case I make mistakes or if I want to make different versions. So I'm going to ungroup this all the way, and I'm going to copy and paste using Command C and Command V. And I'm copying and pasting the slide so that I can go through and I can make a bunch of different versions of this array. Again, I've sped this part up, but you get the idea. Let's say I want to go back to one object. I'm going to select all of them, and then I'm going to hold down Command while I deselect just that object so I can delete everything else. Now you see these alignment lines appearing, and they're often very helpful when you're trying to line things up. But if they're stopping you from putting your object exactly where you want it, you can hold down Command while you're dragging it, and those lines will disappear. So if I select these and I go up to Arrange, I'm going to be able to align and distribute them evenly. I can click Align, Middle, and they all line up nicely. And I can click Distribute horizontally, and there we go, they're evenly spaced. If I wanted to fit these into this box and have them distributed evenly, I could line up the endpoints like this. Select all of these objects, go up to Arrange, Align Middle, and distribute horizontally. That way I can pull them nicely into this box and they fit perfectly. So now I'm going to group these and make them easier to copy. Click Group, move it up here, and now I hold down Option and drag it to create copies. Another way to line things up is to click on an object or group and use the arrow keys to move it. So here I'm pressing right on the arrow key and it's moving just the tiniest bit. I can also hold down Shift and press the arrow keys to move it in larger chunks. All right, let's take a look at the Printout template, which I've already set to 8.5 by 11 paper, and I've already included some cutouts. You'll notice that on these cutouts, the edges, the cards go all the way to the edges. I like to do that so that it's easier to just cut along the lines and not have to cut anything out around the edges. If you're going to use the double-sided printout, make sure that the back side of the playing card on the right side lines up with the left card on the opposite side, because that's how it comes out when it prints. Here's an example game board that I've created from a table. Here's the table. And just briefly, I'm going to show you how you can start to edit the table to create a path and create your own game board. So I merge these cells. I go to Cell, and I select this one. And I'm going to change the color of that line border to be white so that you can see this path starts to emerge. I have to say, editing the tables can sometimes be tedious, but once you have it set up, the kids love playing the board games. Another way to do it would be to create shapes and put them into a path. And keep in mind that you can also double click and start typing inside of the shapes. Now I'm actually going to undo what I just did, because before you make edits, you should create a separate slide. I copied and pasted it. Another option is you can go up to File and you can duplicate the file, and that way you can change anything on this version without losing your template. Here are some other printouts you can make. This is a 1 to 120 chart that I've used in my class. Sometimes I will highlight certain columns or rows and ask them what they notice or what they wonder, and they can see the place value understandings. Other times I'll delete numbers from the chart and I'll print it out, and it can be a puzzle for the kids, or we'll do it together and discuss the patterns.